I did not. Put it
Sangeeta
in the
ma'am.
Sankita
Sangeeta.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, it started
Great.
recording. Sankita ma'am, you may start.
Good evening, Principal Ma'am and my dear friends. Today topic National Education person, Mr. Bidun Walson. He is a PG in MSc Physics. He is working as a physics teacher in Hosur Public School. He has also Vidya Vihar Central School, Kerala. He has an experience working in NEET coaching center. In 20, in 2018 and 2019, he was the resource person of the program Jalakam, conducted by State Institute and Technology, Government of Kerala. He is a member of Smart Energy Program of Government of Kerala. He is good in computer and singing also. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sankita ma'am. Welcome all. Very good evening. I know you're having a long day, so welcome to today's session. I'll try to summarize it to the minimum time. So please cope up with me. Okay, yeah. So let's start the session. Today we are going to discuss about National Education Policy 2020, and today we will be concentrating on how to implement NEP in classrooms. That's what we are going to discuss today. So as you all know, like NEP is actually a very vast sector, and it is quite difficult to summarize this policy in 1 hour. So anyway, I'll try to do that in the limited time period. And as you know, like my knowledge in national education policy is very limited, so I'll be welcoming all your suggestions, and if I'm making any mistake, I'll be welcoming your corrections. I'll be open to it. Okay, so the session is very open, so if you find anything wrong, or if you want to make some suggestions, you're welcome. Okay, so yeah, let's start. I hope you can see the screen. Hope you can
Yes,
see the
yes.
presentation. Yes. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Is it? Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So let's talk about national education policy. Um, yeah. Okay. So, what is actually national education policy? So, before starting into national education policy, we would have an introduction. Let's have an introduction, and let's have some history. Okay, what is actually education policy, and how the education policies of our country actually evolved. So let's have some history. So what is basically an education policy is? What do you think, teachers? What do you think? What is basically a education policy is? Yes. Anyone? You know what is an education policy is?
Didn't I joined? Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
All the best. All the best. Carry
Yeah,
on.
okay, ma'am. So education policy is basically, so let's talk about some history of education policies. We know that our country has, or if you see the education sector, it has a lot of, it has a huge history. Let's start Indian education sector. We know that Indian education sector started, we as per our knowledge, it is actually started from gurukulas. I hope you know that. What is gurukulas? Where the student will be going to the house of the teacher in order to learn the values and knowledge for the lifetime, right? That's what happening in a gurukula mode of education. And then the gurukula mode of education changed to varna based education, where the brahmins will be learning about vedas and all, and kshatriya will be learning about more about warfares, and vaishya will be dealing with the business. Then Shudra will be taking care of the vocational skills. So that's what the evolution happened. Then it changed into university. You may be knowing like Nalanda University and all, where the caste based education system demolished. And if an ironsmith wants to learn carpentry, yes, you can learn that. So that's where a very important evolution happened. Then you can see, if you take the history, you can see a very vast development in education sector, just like when the Mughal emperor started. Then finally we can say the colonialism started when India was colonized by Britain. They started a new education system where almost all the development happened. You can see, that's the point where we included English language to our education system. And now after independence, Indian education have developed a lot. So here we will be concentrating on, we'll be discussing on what has happened after independence. In the slide you can see, I hope you can see that. Actually, I made it in a reading mode. Can you see that, or are you seeing that? I hope you can read that. Is it possible to read from the slides?
No, sir. No, sir.
Actually, I've put it in reading mode. Actually, I don't know why it is happening. Wait a sec. Okay. How about now? No change. Okay. Anyway, I don't know why it is happening. So anyway, I'll
Because
try to.
press F5.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I've actually in my screen is actually in reading mode. Actually, Bala sir. I don't know why it is
Okay,
not
okay.
reflecting on the screen.
Maybe it will take time, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so let's start. I'll be sharing the slides, so don't worry about it. So
I
you can
think
listen.
Bidun, you can have it in the reading mode, or that's why
Actually,
this
in my
screen,
screen is actually in reading mode. Actually.
but it is not like that.
Yeah, but it is not reflecting in the meeting. I don't know why.
Reading mode or
Make it bigger.
നോക്ക്
All the
ചേച്ചി
other
എന്തോ
things
പറയുന്നു.
actually getting reflected, but not the slideshow. I don't know why.
Because just you have to
Help
click
me
that. Just you have to click the slide option, no? In the bottom, you see slide mode. In the bottom, right side, right side, right side.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Here.
just you try it.
But in my screen, it is actually in reading mode, but not in the meeting.
Okay,
Sir,
okay.
even
Maybe
sir,
it take
in
time, I think.
OBS it's not possible, sir. So
Sorry.
you make it in OBS, it is not possible. Like you
Sorry,
can't
sir.
make it in slide mode.
You do one thing, you stop screen sharing, and can you do that again?
Yeah. Actually, I tried that, ma'am. I'll try that again. I'll try that again.
Still, it is in this way.
Yeah. Actually, it's in slideshow mode in my computer.
It's
Actually.
okay. You do complete it and share the PPT.
Yeah. Sure, ma'am. Yeah. I'll do that. Okay, so let's have the history. So if you check the history of an education policy, we can see that after independence, the first education policy, we all completed our B.Ed, so you'll be knowing that the first commission was in 1948 by Radhakrishnan, and which is known as University Education Commission. Then after 1952, Mutaliar Commission was there, which is known as secondary education. Then 66 to in between 66 to 68, there was the Kotari Commission. Then the first national policy of education was introduced in 1968, and it's clear that it's been a long time since any modification. Yeah, there was some little modification was there, but this is I would like to call national education policy as a revolution in education sector. Why is that? Because that's what we are going to discuss about. So you will be knowing why national education policy is we can consider it as a revolution. We'll be discussing on that. Okay, so first, understanding education policy. Each education policy will be having some objectives, right? something we need to implement in the country. So each education policy will be having some objectives. Let's take an example of colonial education policy. When the British was here, their education, the objective of the education policy was they needed some people who were educated, who knows English, in order to help their activities in the country. So their education policy was actually, focused on that. That's why they started introducing English in the education policy. So let's find what is actually the vision of our education policy, National Education Policy 2020. This is the vision of the policy. The first one, develop an educated system deeply rooted in Indian ethos, which has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. The curriculum and pedagogy must develop a sense of respect towards fundamental duties and Constitution of India and have a deep bond with the country. Develop a sense of pride and respect for the country and be responsible for human rights, sustainable development, global well-being, thereby reflecting a duly global citizen. So if we see the vision of the policy, we can see they're focusing on Indianism. We know that as a nation, India, we are rich not in terms of economics, not only in terms of economics, but in terms of culture, education. We can take an example of scholars like Chanakya, Aryabhatta. These were the scholars who were leading the educational sector all over the world in the early stages. So so we have that pedigree. So we actually, the NEP actually trying to focus on that. So by implementing this NEP, we will be getting India back on the track and we'll be leading the global. Actually, that is the vision of the policy. Then if we see the basic principles of the policy, you can see the basic principles. There are 8 basic principles of the policy. The first one is actually respect to diversity and local context to be reflected in all curriculum, pedagogy and policy. We know that India is a country who respect diversity, and we actually highlights the principle that unity in diversity. And you can see the second one in equity and inclusion to become the cornerstones of all educational decisions. Equity and inclusion, we will be including all kind of learners into our education policy, regardless of the socio-economic backgrounds. Then community participation, uplifting philanthropic private community participation. We know that, I hope you know what is philanthropic is. There are a lot of people who behaves or who's ready to act without any kind of profit. So NEP is actually focused on those people. Actually, those people are ready an idea with the school, so they are ready to start an educational institution. So NEP will be will be actually cooperating those people too. Then the next one is use of technology in teaching and learning, removing language barriers. Yes, use of technology is one of the very important 21st century skill. Then emphasis on conceptual understanding, learning for exams with no rote learning. So actually, by improving or by progressing in this session, we will be knowing that what is actually NEP is. NEP is actually basically, it is actually focused on what is a movement from rote learning to conceptual learning. We will be knowing more about that in future. Then unique capabilities, recognizing, taping them in each student. We know that each student is born with their own capability. We used to say that each student is gifted in one way or other. So we need to understand what is the gift, and as a teacher, we need to understand it. We need to guide it in the right way. Critical thinking and creativity, both are very important 21st century skills. Then continuous review, build on sustained research and regular assessment by educational expert. As a teacher or educational system, is very important to assess what is happening, and it helps us to know where I am and where I'm heading to. So assessment is very important. So these are the principles of national education policy. And this slide is actually the most important part of national education policy, which will help us to know what is the pedagogical structure of national education policy. Now, in the existing policy, what we are doing is we have a 10+2 system. So now the 10+2 system is actually discarded. It does no more exist. Now, NEP introduced a new system, which is basically a 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system. Okay, a student will be spending 15 years in learning activity. In the earlier system, a student will be spending 10 plus 2, 12 years, and through NEP, a learner will be getting additional 3 years. And this additional 3 years we are using in the fundamental learning process. So let's understand what is this pedagogical structure is. You can see the 4 different blocks here. The first is fundamental stage, which consists of 5 years, which actually includes the student of age group from 3 to 8 years. So this fundamental stage can be divided into 2 stages. So actually this fundamental stage includes the classes nursery, KG1 which is LKG, KG2 which is UKG, then standard 1, standard 2, grade 1 and grade 2. So these 5 years can be considered as 2 different stages. Nursery KG1, KG2 includes the first 3 years in which we will be concentrating, NEP is concentrating on those 3 years, because in earlier stages, in earlier education policy and all, we were not concentrating on the early development of a learner. Actually, the study shows that 85% of human accumulative development happens in when a person reaches a year of 6 years. Okay, so 85%, that's a lot, right? So in earlier education policy and all, till now, we were not concentrating on that year. See, when a student actually in 4th or 5th standard, 85% of the development already done, and we are not doing anything. So that's why NEP is more on focusing on this fundamental stage of learning. And so now in this stage, you may have a question, we already have a preschool, we already have a preschool, right? Then what is the change happening? So the important change NEP brings in that, now the preschool learning is actually not in the mainstream schooling. Now NEP is actually bringing this preschool learning into mainstream learning. For example, I can say there is no guidelines, there is no authority to actually monitor preschool learning. There is no guidelines, there is no rules. Okay, so it is very difficult to understand what is the quality and what is happening in a preschool learning. Now through NEP, they're actually we are actually about to get a guidelines, a particular set of guidelines in which we will be having a set of rules and guidelines in order to follow in fundamental schooling and preschool learning. That's the first thing. Then okay, now, and we know that in fundamental stages, that is the stage where the psychomotive skills of a student is actually improving. We will be discussing that. Then after that, after fundamental stage, so in fundamental stage, the learning is actually a playful learning. In the next 2 years, which is class 1 and 2, we will be giving play related learning. So we will be relating plays into learning. Actually, we will start to introduce the formal learning of school in that years. Then when we move to the next 3 years, the preparatory stage, which consists of 3 years, and that includes the classes from 3 to 5, and it includes the students of age 8 to 11. In that, actually, we will be doing that introduction to formal schooling, what is happening in the schooling, like interactive classroom learning will be starting, interactive classroom learning and all. Then we'll move to the middle stage. Middle stage is very important because that's where we are starting to learn the formal schooling. You can consider how the learning is happening in that stage. You can consider the art integrated projects, experiential learning. All these things will be introduced in this stage. Then move on to the last stage, which is the 4 years, which is known as secondary stage. No, there is no senior secondary stage now. There is secondary stage, which is a 4 years duration, which includes the classes from 9 to 12, includes the students of age 14 to 18. In this, we will be more onto more higher order thinking skills, more understanding of concepts, things like that. So in the slides, you can see the salient features of stages in schools. Like as I explained, in foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage, and high school stage. You can see what will happen, what all things are happening. In fundamental stage, we will be actually focusing on play or activity based learning. In preparatory stage, we will be focusing on gradual transition from play based learning to more formal classroom learning. And middle stage, subject oriented learning. And high school, we will be doing multidisciplinary learning, as I told you, art integrated projects, experiential learning. And the most important thing of NEP is that in high school or in the secondary stage, the students are getting more flexibility of choosing subjects. Now, there are, science branch, commerce, humanities, there is a particular isolation between soft science and hard science. I hope you know what is soft science and hard science, where hard science includes the subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics, where soft science includes subjects like economics, social science, something, English as well. So as the introduction of NEP progresses, there won't be hard isolation or hard boundaries in between these two things. Suppose, for an example, I'm a student who loves to studies physics, and I'm also interested in accountancy. Yes, now through an NEP, I have a provision to take those subjects. So the students getting more flexibility on choosing their subjects. Then through NEP, this is what happens. There is a drastic shift from to the teacher to the student. The teacher-centered learning is actually shifted to student-centered learning. How is that happening? Let's see that. Shift to competency-based teaching, learning, and assessment. This is what happening. So, in competency-based teaching, learning, or assessment, it is actually promoting critical and creative thinking aligned to 21st century in classroom, shifting traditional assessment to competency-focused, track student progress and competency and frequency. See, what is happening is, let's say as teachers, what we are doing in schools, we are actually trained the students to learn something, right? Or to learn something and to use it. So NEP actually focus on what is critical and creative thinking or competency based study. What do you mean by competency based studies? I am expecting a answer. Either you can unmute your mic or you can send it in the chat box. What do you mean by competency based study? Competency. What do you mean by that term? This is the reason. Recently we are hearing a lot about it, right? Competency-based learning, critical thinking. What do you mean by that? Do you have any idea about it? Somebody can unmute your mic, or you can give it in the chat box. What is basically a competency-based learning? No? Okay, so competency-based learning is actually, it means we are actually training the students to learn something and to use in a practical sense. That's what we are using in a competency-based studying. So the students will be able to use that in a practical sense. I can bring the idea more clear by taking an example. Let's take an example of logarithm table. I have studied logarithm table, and we have all studied logarithm table. But as a profession, as a teacher or any other profession, are we using logarithm table really? No, we are not using it, right? So that's naturally a question will arise. Why did I study logarithm table? I'm not intend to tell that logarithm table is useless. Don't misunderstand me. I'm trying to say that we need to discard those things which has no more use in future. See, finding logarithm and all, machines can do that. So you don't have to learn it. So that's what competency means. So through competency-based studying, we will be discarding all those things which is not really useful in future in a practical sense. So in competency-based studying, we will be discarding all those things. So effectively what we are doing is we are reducing the syllabus. So that's why you can see in the slide, we will be reducing the slides in order to avoid rote learning. So you can reduce the syllabus. Now track student progress comprehensively and frequently. This is what I told you. This is a shift from teacher to the student. So the track the student progress. In order to track the student progress, we rely on assessment. So but in NEP, through NEP, what is happening is the shift from summative assessment to formative assessment. I hope you have an idea of summative and formative assessment. So through formative assessment, we will be doing a continuous growth of a, we will be checking or we will be tracking the continuous growth of a student, so you can understand what is exactly happening. Okay, so that will be doing in NEP. Then design tools and resources to educate learning outcomes. See, now what is happening is in all the classroom, most of the classroom, we are actually trying to deliver the bookish knowledge, all this from the books. But as NEP, as a teacher who is there in a school to interpret NEP, we need to design tools, whether it can be an activity, a field trip, a project, whatever it be. So we need to design tools and activities for better learning. The important part is the other one is sports integrated learning. We know that sports, how much important is that? Because learning, we need a well-behaving body, right? So, a better movement, better exercise, which can enhance the learning process. So NEP is actually integrating sports with learning. Now, we are moving on to early childhood care and education, ECCE, the foundation learning. I told you NEP is actually focusing on foundation stage, the foundation learning, which is the basic learning, reading, writing, basic arithmetic, and basic life skills. These are the foundational learning, and NEP gives a lot of importance to that. We might have heard of early childhood learning, early childhood education, ECE. Now ECE have shifted to ECCE, early childhood care and education. So what is happening? See, now we have seen that a student who is coming from preschool to standard 1, they're having a lot of gap, a learning gap. We can see, maybe we could have experienced that a student who's passed from preschool to grade 1 student, some students can't even write, can't even speak. Maybe leave that, maybe a basic arithmetic, they won't be doing that. Leave the arithmetic and all, maybe they can't even recognize and what is a number is. So there is a lot of learning gap. So early childhood care and education focuses on a bridge between this learning gap. So what are the goals of this one? Ensuring that all children entering grade 1 are school ready by 2030. So what is actually school ready means? So school ready means in preschools, what we are doing is, I told you, we will be doing is a play learning, and so school ready means we are converting this play learning into play based learning. Okay, so there is a shift happening. So that is one of the goal. Then attain optimal outcome in the domain of physical and motor development. We know that. I told you in preschool stage, a lot of psychomotive skills are enriching. I hope you know about the gross motor skill and fine motor skill. What is gross motor skill? Gross motor skill is actually movement of big muscles, right? Whether a student can jump, run, sit, and stand, whether the movement of big muscles is happening perfectly. Then so the preschool stages, we need to ensure that all the gross motor skills are developed. So when the student moves into grade 1, we can move to fine motor skills, which is the movement of small muscles, which is the finger moving, the wrist moving, so that we can ensure that the student can write all those fine motor skills. So in preschool learning, we'll be concentrating on gross motor skills. So you can practice the activities like writing on sand. So they can practice with the big movement of hands and all. And when it comes to grade 1, they can really start with writing pen and pencil. That's what ECCE is concentrating on. Then motor development, then socio-emotional development. Emotional development means whether the student is able to create their own friends group, their emotions are rightly expressed, whether the student cries, smiles at appropriate situations, all these things. Then the last point, which is introduction of preparatory classes for children of age of 5 years. This is very important. NEP actually offers a 3-month course in order to overcome this learning gap, so we can make the student ready before getting into grade 1. So the next slide, which is attainment of foundational literacy and numeracy by grade 3 in mission mode. What is actually mission mode? Actually, NEP consider this as a mission, a national mission. You can see a national mission on foundational literacy and numeracy. For that, foundational skills, universal acquisition of foundational learning skills, book promotion. This is very important in this stages, because at the age of online gaming and all, students actually very bad at reading books, right? So national book promotion policy will be formulated, and public and school libraries will be expanded. You can see libraries, school library and public library will be promoted. National repository, you can see Diksha and all. A lot of teachers are adding resources in that. And 3 months play-based school. That's what I mentioned in the last slide. Before getting into grade 1, a student will be getting a 3-month period in order to get ready for grade 1. Early learning, focused on early reading, writing and mathematics. Now, curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels. Dropout rates. I have some numbers for you, which is very alarming. Suppose if you take the statistics, we can see that in India, almost 90% of the students for enrolling for the school, 90% of the students, available students, are enrolling for schools. And suppose this 90% of children are reaching at the grade 6. From 6 to 7 there is a drop of 11%. So which means suppose 90% of the students are joining. When they pass, when we see they are passing from 6 to 7 standard, the percentage is reduced into 79% or something, which is very drastic, right? And if you look at the statistics, when it is in 11 to 12 standard, okay, 11 to 12 standard, it reduces up to 40%. So why is this happening? Why is this a lot of dropouts are there? We need to think about it. What can be the reasons for dropouts? Anyone? What can be the reasons? What can be the possible reasons for dropouts? Anyone? Anybody? Yeah, in India we are facing this issue. What can be the possible reasons for dropouts? Anybody in the chat box? Anything? No.
Maybe their financial condition.
Sorry.
Maybe the family background and financial conditions.
Yeah, financial background. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it can be financial background, a socio-economic background. Yeah, there can be a lot of possibilities. So we need to make sure that there is no dropouts in the school. So in order to do that, some steps can be done. Provide regular trained teachers at each stage, so we can make sure that the dropout is not because of the resource persons. Then special care shall be taken to ensure that no school remains deficient on the infrastructure support. The school infrastructure support is very important in order to do this. So after NEP actually focuses on no school is actually having any deficiency in infrastructure. Now what we need to do is we need to keep the students in the school who is continuing in the school, and we need to bring back the dropouts. Okay, for that we have to allow suitable opportunities to catch up and re-enter school. See, suppose we are bringing a dropout student to the school, we need to help the student by allowing suitable measures in order to cope up with the other students. So it's our duty. Then community partnership in terms of expertise and infrastructural support. Community partnership, there are a lot of NGOs, philanthropic organizations to help, so we can make use of that help. Then open education, we can see what is ODL is, open and distance learning. We can avail learning through distant education and all. Then open schooling, NIOS, it can be made use of that in order to reduce this dropout rates. Then highlights of pedagogical structure. NEP through NEP, what is going to be the pedagogical structure? Very important. Competency based education, integration subjects, development of scientific temper, no silos among subjects learning. So again, competency-based education, integration of subjects, scientific tempo, no silos among subjects. India is the only country which gives scientific temperament as a constitutional right. Okay, so what is this all about? Competency-based education, integration subject, development of scientific tempo, and no silos among subject and learning. All these things we have already discussed. So what is actually competency-based education? I told you. It's actually we are training the student to make use of the idea or the concept that the student learned in the practical sense, right? They need to use that in the practical sense. Integration of subject, scientific temper, and there is no shift, there is no separation between subjects and learning. What is this all about? See, the statistics show that 85% of the job that's going to exist in the 21st century does not exist today. I repeat it again. I repeat, 85% of the jobs that in the 21st century does not exist in today. See, I can bring an example. Say, suppose a student who passed out 10th standard in 1990s, if you ask that student what is web designing, most of the teachers can understand that. Have you ever heard web designing in your age? No. They hardly know what is a web designing is. But you see now, in 2021, web designing can make a lot of profession, a lot of career, right? So this is a thing. 85% of the job that's going to be in the 21st century doesn't exist now. And the interesting fact is that 16% of the students who's now studying in pre-primary school, the students who are studying in our school, the 16% of them is going to do that jobs. So what we are doing, we need to train the students for the future, right? So in order to make them ready for the future, in order to make them ready for the 21st century, these things are, these are the pedagogical structure we need to follow. Competency-based education, integration of subjects, you can integrate maths with science, maths with social, maths with science, development of scientific temper, then, there is no, that's why we are not making a particular isolation between any subjects. There is no extracurricular subjects. Music, English, science, everything is curricular now. Everything can be considered as curricular now, because we need to make the students ready for it. If you see the studies, you can see that most of the job which is existing today is not going to exist in the 21st century. I mean, in the future, when the learner is getting out of the school, for ready with the profession, actually our school mind, our teacher mindset is actually we are actually training the students to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, chartered accountant, all those things. But the studies say that the profession, the career, the jobs that we exist today, it may not be existing in future. What kind of job is going to dry out? You see, the jobs which is repetitive, the jobs which is recurring, the jobs which is keep on doing the same thing in every day, all this job is going to be occupied by the machines. Machines going to be doing that. We don't need a human resource for that. So, we need to train the students, in order to improve, or we need to train the students for that, in order to improve their creativity, in order to bring innovations. So that's what we need to keep in this mind whenever we design our pedagogical strategies. Now we can see digital literacy. We can't turn back to digital literacy now, because as I told you, in future some of the jobs is going to occupied by the machines, and we need to control machines, right? In order to control machines, digital literacy is very important. Then promotion of multilingual teaching. Multilingual teaching is, you can expect a teacher, a school in Tamil Nadu maybe asking for a teacher from Kerala or Telangana. Yes, we have it now. In order to promote nationalism and multilingual skills. So you can see these are the most wanted 21st century skills. We can see health and fitness, creativity, critical thinking, communications, problem solving, digital literacy, collaboration, scientific tempo, ethics, and social responsibility. These are the most wanted 21st century skills, and our schools, our teachers should encourage these skills in our classrooms. And the other one, the next we are going to discuss about is introduction of contemporary subjects. These subjects like artificial intelligence, holistic health, data science, organic living, design thinking, machine learning is going to introduced in the syllabus as contemporary subjects. You can see a year-long course during grade 6 and 8. This is what we are talking about. Along with the syllabus, along with the curriculum, they will be studying on hands-on experience on some vocational skills like carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery, etc. And the skills can be purely depending upon the social or local skills needed. Suppose let's take an example of a region which is located at very good at making chappals. Yeah, we can take that. We can train the students for that. Suppose schools in Tirunelveli maybe train the students to make halwas. Tirunelveli halwa is very famous. So these are the year-long courses during 6 and 8. Then mathematics and computational thinking. This is very important in future. We know that mathematics is everywhere. Increased emphasis throughout the school's year, starting with the foundational stage. And when we say mathematics, it's not doing problems in the notebook. We actually train the student to understand the problem, and through making the problem through puzzles and games, so that they can understand the concepts well. Then computational thinking. A lot of let me make it clear. Well, first of all, computational thinking has nothing to do with computers. Okay, computational thinking is a way of thinking. Computational thinking comes before coding. Yes, now a lot of companies are asking for coding skills. Actually, computational thinking is different. What is actually computational thinking? Computational thinking comprises the problem disintegration, abstraction, and algorithm. It is a way of thinking. We need more innovation. We need more ideas for the future, for the future solutions. Moving on to the next stage, emphasis on vocational education. As I told you, along with the curriculum, the student can be trained for vocational skills, and by 2025, we are expecting 50% of the students, at least 50%. Now it's 20%. We have to make it into up to 50% by 2025 by giving a vocational training along with the curriculum. It can be done in online. It can be done. Maybe you can call some resource person. It can be done through online classes. Anyway, we need to give some vocational educational training. Knowledge of India. If I started to talk about knowledge of India, I can't stop talking. The idea is to bring the nationalism in students and to know the history and the rich history and culture of the nation. For that, we can create a complementary subject as a knowledge of India. You can see engaging course on Indian knowledge system. Conducting quizzes which emphasis on history and cultural activities happening in the country. Now, health education. We know that health education basically highlights the principle prevention is better than cure. All this learning process is possible if the learner is healthy in all the aspects like physical health, mental, emotional health, spiritual health. So we'll be concentrating on that through right nutrition, personal public hygiene. That the importance of health and hygiene these days, we suffer a lot now. Then detrimental, and this is very important, detrimental and damaging effects of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, because studies show that up to 10 to 15% of students are actually addicted to some kind of things like this. One alcohol or tobacco. 10 to 15% of students. So that should be taken care of. Leveraging the power of multilingualism and language learning. Very important. You see, as adults, we know that anything that can be understood better in mother tongue. Do you agree? Do you agree with that? Huh? Hello? Teachers, are you with me? Am I
Yes,
going
sir.
so fast?
Yes, sir.
Am I going so fast?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, leveraging power of multilingualism and language learning is kind of, we know that everything can be understood in mother tongue, right? But what we are doing in school, we are teaching everything in English, right? So there, of course, there is going to be a learning gap because of the language, right? So NEP actually gives you the provision to take class in mother tongue. Okay, we can take an example. See, all the countries which was not the part of colonial Britain is actually stick on to their mother tongue. You know what? You can take the example of China and France. They don't teach the students in English. They stick on to the mother tongue, and we can see that they are showing a drastic development, right? They are yes, economically strong. They are developing, right? So, but what we are doing, we are stick on to English. So that's why NEP actually gives you the provision to take the classes in mother tongue, which is helpful for better understanding and learning. Then, very important, this is going to be the last module of the session, transforming assessment for student development. By attending the training that we have done by Shikshangan, you may be having a clear-cut idea about what is assessment, how a futuristic assessment can be, or shift from summative assessment to formative assessment. So you will be getting a better idea right here. So you can see the transforming assessment for student development. The aim of assessment in national education policy is shift from rote memorization to skill formative assessment. What are the skill of the student? Then promotes the learning and development of students. Test higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. Hope you remember Bloom's taxonomy and all. So, national education policy will stress you to follow more onto Bloom's taxonomy. You can make the concept and memorization skill a bit far, and you can bring the analysis and critical thinking up. Then you can see this is how the assessment of the students is going to be. Student is going to have assessment in grade 3, grade 5, grade 8, grade 10 and 12. There is a lot of questions like, once national education policy is implemented, whether the board exam is going to be there. Yes, of course, board exams will be there, but in another way. Maybe they will be having two kind of exams. Maybe the first exam, the normal exam, and after that we will be giving a chance for improvising, or we will be making this into a semester system, in order to reduce the content and in order to reduce the factor of memorization. You see, the test core concepts and move away from rote memorization. Conduct assessment for all schools. Schools data is anonymized. You see, the results of the students is anonymized actually, and we will be using this data only for making the student pass from one grade to another grade. Then the use data for continuous monitoring and improvement. That's what actually formative assessment do. So through national education policy, we will be moving our assessment system from summative to formative assessment. Then the report card. Through NEP, what we are going to do is we are going to present a 360-degree holistic report card. You see, now what's happening in our school? You see, all the children are actually scared of the open house, right? Because they will be asking, sir or teacher, are you really going to say my marks, right? Or don't say that, or don't say this. Please show this exam mark. Don't say that what happened in that exam. This is what's happening. And whenever the school, the parent is coming, the parent is asking, what's the mark in mathematics? What's the mark in science? Whether my children do in English? This is the question. But you think a situation where a parent approaches you, as teachers, and teacher will be saying like, yes, your student is, your child or your ward is very good at making relationship in the class. He have a lot of friends, and he's being very good at his peer. So I think he is going to make a very good leader in future. He can manage a lot of team. So he has that management quality. This is the way we need to present the report card in future by implementation of national education policy. So we will be providing the 360 degree. This is what we mean by 360 degree. We will be, we will be assessing and reflecting all the factors of students in those report card, not only the assessment marks, all this progress, like the nature, all these things, progress in project-based and inquiry-based learning, progress in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, quizzes, role plays, interactive questionnaire, self-assessment, and teacher assessment. So teacher assessment is one of the factor in holistic progress card, and we will be including all these things in the report cards. Then these are actually the guidelines for assessment. Guidelines for the assessment will be given by NCERT, and NCERT will be saying how much weightage should be given for analysis questions or higher order thinking questions. It will be provided by NCERT. Okay, so this is about a national education policy. Yes, I know, like I was a little bit faster because I was worried about whether I can complete it in 1 hour. So that's why I hope it was clear, and I'm open for suggestions and doubts. If you have any doubts and if you have any suggestions and if you have any remarks, whether I've done any mistakes, you can point out. Yeah, the session is open now. I hope we have got 1 more minute. Yeah, maybe we can extend it to 3 minutes. Any questions?
Because you have done a wonderful study, I believe. NEP.
Yeah. And I'm afraid, ma'am, because I couldn't collect all those things in this session. I afraid.
Yeah, very difficult. Very difficult. It's a vast, even though it's a 64-page document, but when you look into the each level aspects and then how the implementation, it takes hours.
Yeah, ma'am.
But you have somehow managed to cover almost all the points. Critical thinking, everything you have touched. Yeah, but the last level, I think, have you touched upon the +2? I mean, secondary level?
Actually, I haven't stressed that, ma'am.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's I believe that's the
Except
point
that.
where I missed something.
Yeah, you touched up. I missed some areas where I had to go with the peeling. So, have you touched upon anything about secondary level?
Ma'am, actually, I haven't done that much of studies in secondary level actually. Because it takes a lot of time, so that's why.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. It's okay. It's okay. You touched almost all the areas briefly.
Yeah,
Right.
and I didn't mention what should our teachers should do, like the teachers' education and all.
No problem. I will do that when I am doing the thing. But many of the teachers must have attended NEP sessions before.
Yeah.
Right. How many of you have attended
They are
before?
having a basic.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I have also attended, ma'am.
Very good. Very good. So this is actually a reinforcement of what we have learned.
Yeah. That's what I was proposing actually. It's just a reinforcement of the basic knowledge.
It's okay. It's okay. Some new teachers will be there. No, anyone who have not at all attended before? It's okay. Okay then. So any suggestions or anything? Floor is open. Anyway, you have done well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shall I add one thing? Sir?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, competency-based learning, you said, no? What I know, I just said to everybody. My voice is echoing, no?
Yeah, it's okay, ma'am. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, what I understood by competency-based education is, for example, if a person has to be good in communication skill, to reach that skill, what are the things needed? Like vocabulary, grammar, and confidence. So those are the competencies we need to work on. So we will maybe we'll be training the child to become a very good in communication skills. That is what I just wanted to add. If I'm correct, ma'am.
Yeah, Supriya, you said
Yes,
right. Now, till now, we were focusing on the content, syllabus, and all. No. Last year and all, CBSE is also stressing upon competency-based learning. And there it is a demonstration of the knowledge. Knowledge, having knowledge is okay, but that is not the thing, important thing. It is whether are you able to apply your knowledge in the real life situation. It is not only the case with the knowledge, skill and attitude. You are a good person, suppose. You are empathy, you have sympathy. But are you turning that sympathy into empathy? That is competence. You have a singing ability, but you don't sing it out. Can you call it a competency then?
No.
Competency is something, it is a transparent. Anyone can see that, and it will be displayed in many situations in life. Okay, a child is good in communicating. Okay, good speaker. But if the boy or girl is not at all speaking, can you call it a competence? Now, the more importance as teachers we have to give to the output of the children, not our input. Till now, we were focusing on mastering our knowledge and how to deliver the class. Our BH classes, we learned how to take a class properly. Now the focus is how to get it from the children. For a language teacher, you must get the competency from the children. If you are a math teacher, if you are a science teacher, our students should be scientific in temper. Questioning skill, observation skill, analyzing skill. If students, they don't have that temperament, how can you call you are a good science teacher or a math teacher? Got my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So all of you have to think whether my children are exhibiting things, demonstrating their knowledge, skill or attitude in the class. So for that, we have to provide situations. So that is why activities are formed. Got it?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So you'll be all waiting, your family will be waiting for the dinner. My Peely is running here and they're looking for me. So bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Till morning, I've been attending sessions and taking sessions. So tired.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Have rest.
Bye-bye. 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 See you tomorrow. Thank you all. Good night. Good night.
Friends, fill the feedback form and you can wind up.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The feedback form is not posted, ma'am.
I posted in the chat box, ma'am.
It's posted.
Yeah, I'm posting 1 second. You see,
Yeah,
ma'am.
okay, got it, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Ulka ma'am, vote of thanks தேவையில்லையா ma'am?
Yeah, vote of thanks is needed, Sangeeta. You have to proceed.
Okay, ma'am. On behalf of SBS staff, I would like to thank Mr. Bidun Walson for this wonderful session. And also, I thank our principal ma'am for her guidance and support. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, friends.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sangeeta, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Supriya, ma'am. Aruna here.
Actually, this session is being recorded, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Sir, if you could just stop recording.
Who has to stop? Bidun, sir?
Punita, ma'am.
Yeah. Bidun, sir, has to stop recording.
Hello? Yeah. Should I fill the form as a resource person? Not needed, right?
No.
Not needed, sir. Not needed for you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I have a doubt here.
Yes, Aruna ma'am. Can you
Yeah, in the name list they have given withheld. What to do with that names?
Ma'am, please wait. Bidun sir, stop recording, sir.
stop? After that, we will discuss, ma'am.
Huh? So I thought we will discuss here. I do a
Recording
call again. So
Okay.
oh, it's still recording.
Bidun sir. Hello, Bidun sir. Hello. Supriya ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Bidun sir? I don't know whether he's listening or not. Okay, let's exit.
Supriya ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, just now my phone disconnected. I couldn't get Google form.
I'll send. I can send. Just a minute.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Just check, Nazin ma'am. Did you get it, Nazrin ma'am?
Supriya ma'am, I couldn't get. I didn't get.
Still you didn't get?
Ma'am, I didn't.
Okay. One second. Actually, okay. Just a minute. One second. Now, can you just check in your chat box?
I got it, ma'am. I got it.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Thank you so much, madam.